It was a crisp autumn afternoon in New York City, where the golden leaves painted the streets in a mesmerizing shade of warmth. The bustling sidewalks of Manhattan were filled with hurried professionals, eager tourists, and a few wandering souls who had seen better days. Among them was a young boy, no older than 10, standing near the entrance of a grand building, his small hands clenched in his hoodie's pockets. His name was Noah, a bright-eyed child with messy brown hair and shoes that had seen far too many seasons. He wasn't a street kid, but life had been hard for him and his mother ever since his father had passed away in an accident last year. Every penny mattered in their tiny Brooklyn apartment. Noah had a mission today. He had overheard his mother talking on the phone, worrying about their overdue rent. He knew she wouldn't ask for help. Pride wouldn't let her. But Noah didn't have that pride. He only had love for his mother and an idea that had been forming in his young mind. As he stood there, scanning the faces of passers-by, his gaze fell on a woman stepping out of a luxurious black SUV. She was elegant, tall, and carried herself with an air of grace. She was unlike anyone he had ever spoken to before, but Noah knew who she was: Ivanka Trump. He had seen her on TV, heard stories about her success, and read how she had helped people. To Noah, she was one of those powerful people who could change lives with a single decision. He took a deep breath, gathered all his courage, and stepped forward just as she was about to walk past him. "Excuse me, Miss Trump," he said, his voice small but firm. Ivanka turned, surprised to hear her name from such a young voice. She looked down at the boy, noticing the determination in his wide, innocent eyes. "Yes?" she asked, offering him a polite smile. Noah hesitated for only a second before blurting out the question he had been rehearsing in his mind. "Can you give me $1?" Ivanka raised an eyebrow, intrigued by the unusual request. She had expected him to ask for an autograph or a photo, not for money. $1? She repeated, studying his face. "Why do you need $1? Noah swallowed hard, knowing that what he said next would determine whether she helped him or walked away. He took a deep breath and answered honestly. Noah met Ivanka's gaze with unwavering sincerity. He had practiced his response in his head, but now, standing before this powerful woman, his words came straight from the heart. "My mom. She works really hard, but she's been sad lately." Noah began, shifting his weight nervously. "She was on the phone last night talking about rent and bills. I don't know how much she needs, but I know she doesn't like to ask for help. So I thought, maybe I could help her. Even just a little." Ivanka's expression softened. She had met countless people throughout her life, business moguls, celebrities, world leaders, but there was something profoundly different about this little boy standing before her. He wasn't asking for money for candy or toys. He was asking because he wanted to ease his mother's burden. She knelt down to his level, the noise of the city fading into the background. "So, you believe that $1 can help your mom?" she asked, her voice gentle. Noah nodded quickly. "I don't know how much it takes, but if I ask enough people, maybe I can get enough to help her." Ivanka was moved. This boy wasn't begging, he was determined. His innocence and pure intent touched her heart in a way she hadn't expected. She reached into her designer handbag and pulled out a crisp $1 bill. Noah's eyes lit up as she extended it toward him, but before he could take it, she spoke again. "I'll give you this $1, Noah," she said, "but only if you answer one question for me." Noah blinked, curiosity taking over. "What question?" Ivanka leaned in slightly, her eyes twinkling with wisdom. "If you could ask for anything in the world, why did you choose to ask for just $1? The boy hesitated, then glanced at the dollar bill in her hand. His answer was simple yet profound. "Because I don't want to take more than what people can give. Even a little bit can help if enough people care." Ivanka inhaled deeply, feeling an unfamiliar lump in her throat. This child, with so little to his name, understood generosity better than most adults. She smiled, placing the $1 into his small palm, but something in her heart told her this wasn't the end of their conversation. Ivanka watched as Noah clutched the dollar bill tightly, his small fingers curling around it like it was the most precious thing in the world. His eyes sparkled with gratitude, but there was no desperation in them, only purpose. She couldn't help but admire his perspective. So many people she had encountered in life always wanted more. More money, more power, more success. But here was a boy who believed that even the smallest help could make a difference. She glanced at the bodyguards standing a few feet away, watching the interaction with curiosity. Then she looked back at Noah and made a decision. "Noah," she said, standing up, "do you know the value of $1? The boy nodded quickly. "Yes, ma'am. You can buy a snack, a bottle of water, or even save it for later." Ivanka smiled. "That's true. But do you know what else you can do with $1? Noah tilted his head. "What?" She took out her phone and pulled up a note. $1 can start something big. If you use it wisely, it can grow into something much more. Noah listened carefully as she continued. "Let me tell you a little secret, Noah. Some of the biggest companies in the world started with just a small investment. Sometimes all it takes is $1, one idea, or one opportunity to create something amazing." Noah's eyebrows furrowed as he tried to process what she was saying. He looked down at the dollar in his hand, suddenly realizing that maybe, just maybe, it could do more than he thought. Ivanka noticed his curiosity and continued. "I want to challenge you, Noah. Don't just collect money from people. Find a way to make this dollar grow. If you can turn this $1 into something bigger, I promise to help you in a way that will truly make a difference for you and your mom." Noah's eyes widened. "Really?" Ivanka nodded. "Really? But you have to promise me that you won't just spend it. Think of a way to make it grow." The little boy looked down at the dollar again, his mind racing. Could he really turn $1 into something more? As the thought settled in his mind, a new kind of determination filled his heart. He looked back up at Ivanka, gripping the bill tightly. "I'll do it. I promise." Ivanka smiled, knowing she had just ignited a spark inside him, and she had a feeling that this was only the beginning. Noah walked away from his encounter with Ivanka Trump, his small fingers still curled around the crisp dollar bill. He had set out that day thinking he would collect as many dollars as possible to help his mother. But now he had a different mission, one that excited him and scared him at the same time. How could he turn $1 into something bigger? As he walked home through the busy streets of Brooklyn, he glanced at the small shops and street vendors lining the sidewalks. People were selling food, keychains, newspapers, things that people needed or wanted. That was when the idea struck him. "I need to buy something that people will want to buy from me," he whispered to himself. His heart pounded with excitement as he looked around. He spotted a small convenience store on the corner and rushed inside. The cool air smelled of candy and coffee, and the shelves were filled with snacks, drinks, and small essentials. Noah walked up to the counter, where an elderly man named Mr. Patel stood. Noah had seen him many times before when his mother brought him here for small groceries. "Hello, young man," Mr. Patel greeted. "What can I do for you today?" Noah placed the dollar on the counter. "Sir, I need to buy something with this. Something I can sell to make more money." Mr. Patel raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Ah, a little businessman, eh? What are you trying to sell?" Noah hesitated. "I don't know yet, but I need something that people will want to buy." The old shopkeeper rubbed his chin thoughtfully. $1 isn't much, but let me see." He turned and scanned the shelves behind him before picking up a small pack of gum. "This costs exactly $1. You can sell each piece for 25 cents. That means if you sell all 4 pieces, you'll have $1 back, plus another $1 in profit." Noah's eyes widened. "Really?" Mr. Patel nodded. "That's how business works, my boy. You buy low, sell high." Noah grinned. He didn't understand everything about business, but he understood one thing: this was his first step. He grabbed the pack of gum and thanked Mr. Patel before rushing out of the store, a new kind of determination fueling his steps. It was time to turn $1 into 2. Noah stepped outside the convenience store, gripping the pack of gum like it was a treasure chest full of gold. His heart pounded with excitement. He had taken the first step toward Ivanka Trump's challenge, and now it was time to prove himself. He looked around the busy street. People were walking past, chatting, checking their phones, or rushing to their destinations. No one was paying attention to a little boy standing on the sidewalk. Taking a deep breath, he cleared his throat and called out, "Fresh gum! Only 25 cents a piece." First, no one stopped. People barely noticed him. His confidence wavered, but he remembered Ivanka's words. He had to make the dollar grow. Determined, he tried again. This time, he walked up to a young woman waiting at the bus stop. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said politely, holding up the gum. "Would you like to buy a piece for 25 cents? It's fresh, and I'm using it to help my mom." The woman smiled, surprised by his approach. "Helping your mom? That's sweet. Okay, I'll take one." She reached into her purse and handed him a quarter. Noah's heart soared as he handed her a piece of gum. His first sale. Encouraged, he moved to another person. A man sipping coffee near a newspaper stand. "Sir, would you like a piece of gum?" "Just 25 cents. The man chuckled. "You know what? Sure." He handed Noah a quarter and took a piece. Within 15 minutes, Noah had sold all 4 pieces. He ran back into Mr. Patel's store, out of breath but grinning. The old shopkeeper raised an eyebrow. "Back so soon?" Noah placed his $2 on the counter. "I want 2 packs of gum this time." Mr. Patel chuckled. "Smart boy." He handed over the 2 packs, and Noah rushed back outside to continue selling. By the end of the day, he had turned $1 into 4. As he held the crisp bills in his hands, he realized something powerful. Money wasn't just about asking. It was about creating value. And he was just getting started. Noah could barely contain his excitement as he walked home that evening. In just a few hours, he had turned $1 into 4. It wasn't a fortune, but it was proof that he could grow money rather than just ask for it. As he entered the tiny Brooklyn apartment he shared with his mother, he saw her sitting at the kitchen table, flipping through overdue bills. Her face looked tired, her fingers pressed against her temple in worry. He hesitated for a moment, then walked up to her, placing the $4 on the table. His mother, Sarah, looked up in surprise. "Noah, where did you get this?" Noah grinned. "I sold gum." She stared at him, confused. "Sold gum? What do you mean?" Excitedly, he told her everything. How he had met Ivanka Trump, how she had given him the dollar, and how he had used it to start selling gum. His mother listened, her eyes softening with every word. When he finished, she shook her head in amazement. "Oh, Noah, you didn't have to do that." "I wanted to," he said firmly. "I don't want you to worry so much. I know $1 isn't a lot, but if I keep going, I can make more." His mother pulled him into a hug, her heart swelling with pride. "You're such a good boy," she whispered. "But you don't have to carry this burden alone, sweetheart." Noah looked up at her. "I know, but I want to help." That night, as he lay in bed, he thought about what Ivanka had said, about how small things could turn into something big. $4 was just the beginning. He needed to go bigger, and he had an idea. Noah lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling of their tiny apartment. The sounds of the city hummed in the background, but his mind was too busy to care. $4 was good, but it wasn't enough. He needed to think bigger. The next morning, he woke up early, grabbed his small stash of money, and headed straight to Mr. Patel's store. The shopkeeper was already behind the counter, organizing products. When he saw Noah walk in, he smirked. "Back for more business, young man?" Noah nodded, placing his $4 on the counter. "I need something I can sell that will make me even more money." Mr. Patel chuckled. "Ah, so you're learning about profit. Gum was a good start, but maybe it's time for something else." The shopkeeper walked around the counter and led Noah to a shelf near the front. "You see these small water bottles? I sell them for 50 cents each. But on a hot day, people will pay $1 or more for a cold drink outside." Noah's eyes lit up. "So, if I buy them for 50 cents and sell them for $1, I make 50 cents on each one?" Mr. Patel nodded. "That's right. You just need to find the right place to sell them." Noah did the math quickly in his head. With $4, he could buy 8 bottles. If he sold them all for $1 each, he'd have $8. Excitedly, he handed over the money. Mr. Patel packed the bottles into a small plastic bag, and Noah rushed outside, already scoping out a good selling spot. He spotted a construction site nearby, where workers were moving around under the morning sun. Perfect. Taking a deep breath, he approached one of the men. "Sir, would you like a cold water bottle for just $1? The man, sweaty and tired, looked at the small boy and then at the bottle. He grinned. "You know what, kid? I will." He pulled out $1 and took the bottle. Within an hour, all 8 bottles were gone. Noah looked at the $8 in his hand and grinned. This was working. Now he just needed to keep growing. With $8 in hand, Noah rushed back to Mr. Patel's store, his heart pounding with excitement. Selling gum had been a good start, but the water bottles had doubled his money in just 1 hour. If he could keep this up, he could make even more. Mr. Patel smiled as Noah entered. "You sold them all, didn't you?" Noah nodded eagerly. "I made $8. Can I buy more?" Mr. Patel chuckled. "Of course, young businessman. But let me give you some advice: invest wisely. Instead of buying only water, maybe get some variety. People like choices." Noah considered this. "Okay. What else do people buy when they're hot?" Mr. Patel led him to another shelf. Juice boxes and soda cans. Some people prefer something sweet over water. Noah did some quick calculations in his head. He had $8 now. If he spent $4 on more water and $4 on soda, he could offer more options to customers. "That sounds smart," he said. "I'll take half water and half soda." With his new stock in hand, he went back to the construction site. This time, instead of just holding up the bottles, he called out, "Cold water and soda, $1 each." The workers turned to look. Some wanted water, but others preferred a cold soda. He sold out even faster than before. By noon, Noah had made $16. He couldn't believe it. Just yesterday, he had started with only $1. Now he was holding 16. But he wasn't done yet. As he walked back toward Mr. Patel's store, he thought about what Ivanka Trump had told him. Small things could turn into something big. Maybe it was time to take an even bigger step. Noah held the $16 in his hands and felt a spark of confidence he had never known before. Just a day ago, he had nothing but $1 and an idea. Now, he had turned it into $16 through pure effort and smart thinking. As he walked toward Mr. Patel's store, he thought about how he could grow his small business even further. He had started with gum, moved on to water and soda, and now he needed something even better. When he stepped into the store, Mr. Patel greeted him with a knowing smile. "Let me guess. Sold out again?" Noah grinned. "Yes, and I have $16 now. But I want to do more." Mr. Patel nodded. "That's the spirit. So what's next?" Noah hesitated for a moment. "I don't know. What do people buy a lot?" The shopkeeper rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "Well, it depends. You've been selling to construction workers, right? They work hard and need energy. Maybe try snacks, granola bars, chips, things they can eat quickly." Noah's eyes widened. "That's a great idea. How much do those cost?" Mr. Patel led him to a shelf stocked with small packs of chips and granola bars. "You can buy these for 75 cents each and sell them for $1. Not a huge profit, but if you sell enough, it adds up." Noah quickly did the math. If he bought 20 snacks with his $16 and sold them all, he'd make $20. "That's perfect," he said, handing over the money. With his new stock in hand, he rushed back to the construction site, setting up near their lunch break area. He arranged the snacks and drinks neatly and called out, "Cold drinks and snacks, $1 each." The workers, now familiar with him, smiled and walked over. "Hey kid, you're really running a business now," one of them said, grabbing a soda and a pack of chips. Within an hour, Noah had sold everything. When he counted his money, he realized he had just made $25. His heart raced. Yesterday, he had started with $1. Now he had 25. This was more than just a little challenge now. This was the start of something big. Noah could barely contain his excitement as he ran home that evening. He had started with just a single dollar, and now he had 25. The feeling of turning nothing into something filled him with pride. As he entered their small apartment, his mother looked up from the kitchen table, where she was sorting through unpaid bills. She sighed. "Noah, where have you been?" Noah grinned and placed the $25 on the table. "I made this today." His mother's eyes widened. "Noah, what? How?" Excitedly, he told her everything about buying the gum, the water, the snacks, and how the construction workers had bought everything from him. His mother listened in stunned silence. When he finished, she shook her head. "Noah, I don't know what to say. This is incredible." He smiled proudly. "I told you I wanted to help." She sighed, pulling him into a hug. "You are amazing, but remember, you don't have to do this alone. I just don't want you to think it's your responsibility to fix everything." "I know, Mom," Noah said, hugging her back, "but I want to do this." That night, as he lay in bed, he realized that selling to construction workers was great, but he needed to expand. There were only so many of them at that site. If he wanted to make more money, he needed more customers. The next morning, he took his $25 and went back to Mr. Patel. "Let me guess," Mr. Patel said, chuckling. "You need more stock?" Noah nodded. "Yes, but I also need to find more places to sell." Mr. Patel thought for a moment. "You know, there's a park nearby where people go for walks and exercise. They might like cold water and snacks too." Noah's eyes lit up. "That's perfect." He used his money to buy a mix of drinks and snacks, then made his way to the park. Sure enough, joggers and families were moving around, and the sun was high in the sky. Taking a deep breath, he set up his little stand near a bench and called out, "Cold drinks and snacks, just $1." At first, people ignored him, but then a sweaty jogger stopped, out of breath. "You selling water?" "Yes, sir." The man smiled. "I'll take one." Soon, others noticed, and before long, Noah was making sales again. By the end of the day, he had turned his $25 into $45. As he packed up and walked home, he realized something. People were starting to recognize him. Word was spreading, and he wasn't just a kid with $1 anymore. He was a businessman. Noah's confidence grew with each passing day. He was no longer just a kid selling snacks, he was running a small business. He had repeat customers, regular selling spots, and most importantly, a plan. By the end of the week, his $45 had turned into $80. He was making enough to help his mom, but something inside him told him to keep going. If he could grow from $1 to $80 in just a few days, what could he do in a month? One evening, as he sat at the kitchen table counting his earnings, his mother sat across from him, watching in awe. "Noah," she said gently, "I'm so proud of you, but you're just a kid. You should be playing, not working every day." Noah smiled. "Mom, this isn't just work. It's fun. And besides, I have a new idea." His mother raised an eyebrow. "Oh no, what now?" He grinned. "I need a cart." "A cart?" she repeated, confused. "Yes, carrying all the drinks and snacks is hard, and I can't sell a lot at once. If I had a little cart, I could sell even more." His mother sighed, shaking her head with a smile. "Where are you going to find a cart?" Noah thought for a moment, then got up and grabbed his money. "I think I know someone who can help." The next morning, Noah walked back to Mr. Patel's store, feeling nervous. He had built a good relationship with the old shopkeeper, but this was the first time he was going to ask for something bigger. When he walked in, Mr. Patel smiled. "Back again, young businessman?" "Yes, sir," Noah said, placing his $80 on the counter. "But today I don't need snacks. I need a cart." Mr. Patel raised an eyebrow. "A cart?" "Yes, carrying everything by hand is slowing me down. If I had a cart, I could sell more and move faster." Mr. Patel tapped his chin, thinking. Then he nodded slowly. "I think I might have something for you." He led Noah to the back of the store, where an old but sturdy pushcart sat. It was a bit rusty, but the wheels were strong, and it had space for drinks and snacks. Noah's eyes widened. "How much?" Mr. Patel smiled. "For you, my best young businessman, I'll give it to you for $50. Noah's heart pounded. That was more than half of what he had, but he knew it was worth it. He handed over the money, and Mr. Patel helped him clean up the cart. As Noah pushed it out onto the sidewalk, he felt something different. He wasn't just a kid selling snacks anymore. He was building something real, and he had a feeling Ivanka Trump would be very interested in what he had done. Pushing the cart down the street, Noah felt a surge of pride. This wasn't just a small upgrade, it was a game changer. With the cart, he could carry more, sell faster, and move to new locations. His first stop was the park, where joggers and families were already starting to recognize him. But now, with the cart, he looked more professional. "Whoa, kid, you've got a whole setup now," one of the joggers said, laughing as he pulled out $1 for a water bottle. Noah grinned. "Yep, I can carry more drinks and snacks now. Want a granola bar with that?" The man thought for a moment, then nodded. "Yeah, why not?" That was exactly what Noah had hoped for. With more products in sight, customers were more likely to buy multiple things. By noon, he had made $60, more in half a day than he had ever made before. But he wasn't stopping there. As he pushed the cart toward the construction site, more people stopped him along the way. Office workers, delivery drivers, even other kids from the neighborhood. Everyone seemed interested now that he had a cart. By the evening, his total earnings for the day had hit $120. He couldn't believe it. A few days ago, he had started with $1. Now he had over 100. As he packed up for the night, he realized something. This wasn't just about making money anymore. This was about proving to himself that he could do something great. That night, Noah sat at the kitchen table, counting his money. His mother watched him, still amazed by how far he had come. "Noah," she said softly, "you've done something incredible, but what are you going to do next?" He looked up at her, his mind racing. "I think it's time to tell Ivanka Trump what I've done." His mother raised an eyebrow. "How are you going to do that?" Noah hesitated. He hadn't thought that far ahead. But he had a feeling that if he could grow $1 into 100, he could figure this out too. And he was determined to make it happen. Noah lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, his mind buzzing with possibilities. He had turned $1 into over 100, but the challenge wasn't just about making money. It was about proving something, not only to himself but to the woman who had given him that dollar in the first place. He needed to find a way to contact Ivanka Trump. But how? She was one of the most famous businesswomen in the world. He couldn't just walk up to her again like last time. Or could he? The next morning, as he packed his cart with fresh drinks and snacks, he had an idea. He grabbed his notebook and wrote down his story, the whole journey from asking for $1 to building his small business. At the bottom of the page, he wrote in bold letters, "I kept my promise. I made the dollar grow. I want to tell you how." Now he just had to get it to her. After finishing his sales at the park and construction site, Noah used a portion of his earnings to take a subway ride to Manhattan. He arrived outside Trump Tower, the same place where he had first met Ivanka. The building looked even bigger than he remembered. Security guards stood near the entrance, watching everyone who came in and out. Noah swallowed hard and approached one of the guards. "Excuse me, sir," he said, holding up his notebook. "I need to get this to Ivanka Trump. It's really important." The guard raised an eyebrow. "Kid, she gets a lot of messages." Noah took a deep breath. "I know, but this is different. A few days ago, she gave me $1, and she told me to make it grow. I did it, and I need her to know." The guard looked at him for a moment, then at the notebook. Something about the boy's determination made him pause. He sighed. "Wait here." Noah watched as the guard walked inside, holding the notebook. His heart pounded. Would she even see it? Minutes passed, then 10, then 20. Just as Noah was about to turn away, the guard returned. "She wants to see you." Noah's eyes widened. "Really?" The guard nodded and motioned for him to follow. Noah took a deep breath and stepped inside Trump Tower. This was it. He was about to face Ivanka Trump again, but this time as a businessman. Noah's heart pounded as he stepped inside Trump Tower. The lobby was grand. Polished floors, gleaming chandeliers, and people dressed in suits moving with purpose. He could hardly believe that just a few days ago he was a kid asking for $1. Now he was about to meet Ivanka Trump again, not as a kid in need, but as a young entrepreneur. The security guard led him through the towering building to a sleek, modern office. As the door opened, Noah saw her. Ivanka Trump, seated behind a large desk, flipping through the pages of the notebook he had written. She looked up, and for a moment, there was silence. Then, a smile spread across her face. "Noah," she said, standing up, "you did it." Noah swallowed hard and stepped forward. "Yes, ma'am. I made the dollar grow." She walked around the desk, holding the notebook in her hands. "I read your story. You started with gum, then water, then snacks. You even bought a cart. That's incredible." Noah nodded. "I wanted to prove that I could do it. That even $1, if used the right way, can change everything." Ivanka studied him carefully, impressed by the determination in his eyes. "And what did you learn?" Noah took a deep breath. "That money isn't just about asking. It's about creating. If you give someone $1, they might spend it. But if you teach them how to use it, they can grow it." Ivanka's smile widened. "That's a lesson some adults never learn." She walked over to the window, looking out over the city. "You remind me of a lot of great entrepreneurs I know. People who started small but thought big." Noah hesitated. "I want to think bigger, too." Ivanka turned to him, intrigued. "How big?" Noah felt his hands tighten into fists. "Big enough that I can help my mom. Big enough that one day, I can help other people, too." Ivanka nodded slowly. "Then let's talk about how we can make that happen." Noah's eyes widened. "Really?" She gestured to the chair across from her desk. "Sit down, Noah. I think you just proved that you're not just a kid with $1 anymore. You're an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs need opportunities." Noah couldn't believe what he was hearing. He had started with $1. Now he was about to have a conversation that could change his life. Noah took a deep breath and sat down across from Ivanka Trump, his hands gripping the armrests of the chair. His heart was still pounding, but he forced himself to stay calm. He had come this far. This was his chance to prove that he was ready for something bigger. Ivanka leaned forward, placing her hands on the desk. "Noah, what you've done is incredible. You took $1 and turned it into a small business. That's something even adults struggle to do. But now, I want to ask you something important." Noah nodded, sitting up straight. "Yes, ma'am," she smiled. "What do you want to do next?" The question caught him off guard. He had been so focused on growing his money that he hadn't thought much beyond that. But now, sitting in this office, he knew he had to dream bigger. "I want to make my business grow even more," he said after a moment. "I want to find new places to sell. Maybe get more carts so I can sell in different spots at the same time. And someday, I want to open my own store." Ivanka nodded, clearly impressed. "That's a smart way to scale. You're thinking about expansion, which is exactly what a business owner should do." She leaned back in her chair, tapping her fingers on the desk. "How would you feel about some help?" Noah blinked. "Help?" Ivanka smiled. "I want to invest in you, Noah. Not just give you money, but mentor you. Teach you about business, finance, and how to grow your company. If you're willing to learn, I think we can turn your small business into something much bigger." Noah's mouth fell open. "You mean, like a real business?" She nodded. "Yes, but only if you're ready for the challenge." Noah's mind raced. Just a few days ago, he was standing on the street with nothing but $1 and a dream. Now, he was sitting in front of one of the most successful businesswomen in the world, being offered an opportunity that could change everything. He swallowed hard and met her gaze. "I'm ready," he said firmly. Ivanka smiled. "Good. Then let's get to work." Over the next few weeks, Noah's life changed in ways he had never imagined. Ivanka Trump kept her word. She didn't just give him money. She gave him knowledge. She arranged for Noah to visit her office regularly, where he learned about business fundamentals. How to track profits and expenses, how to reinvest money wisely, the importance of branding and marketing, how to think long-term instead of just day by day. Noah took notes furiously in his notebook, soaking up every word like a sponge. One afternoon, as he sat across from Ivanka in her office, she asked, "What do you think is the most valuable thing in business?" Noah thought for a moment. "Money." Ivanka shook her head. "Money is important, but it's not the most valuable thing." Noah frowned. "Then what is?" She smiled. "Trust." Noah tilted his head. "Trust?" "Yes," she said. "People buy from those they trust. Employees work harder for leaders they trust. Investors put money into businesses they trust. If you want to grow, you have to build trust with your customers, your community, and your team." Noah scribbled the word trust in big letters in his notebook. That night, as he lay in bed, he thought about it deeply. His customers trusted him to sell quality snacks and drinks. Mr. Patel had trusted him enough to give him advice and sell him the cart at a good price. Even Ivanka had trusted him to take that first dollar and make it grow. He realized that trust was what had gotten him this far. And if he wanted to grow even bigger, he needed to earn more of it. The next day, Noah made a decision. It was time to expand his business. Noah woke up the next morning with a clear goal: grow the business beyond just himself. So far, he had been selling snacks and drinks alone, pushing his cart from one location to another. But if he wanted to expand, he needed help. He spent the morning writing out a plan in his notebook. Hire someone to run a second cart. Find a better way to buy supplies at lower prices. Create a name for the business. The first thing he needed was another cart. He met with Mr. Patel, who had become one of his biggest supporters. "Back for more, young businessman?" the shopkeeper asked with a smile. Noah grinned. "I need another cart." Mr. Patel chuckled. "Already expanding? Impressive." Noah placed $200 on the counter, earnings he had saved over the past week. "Can I buy one?" Mr. Patel nodded. "I'll even throw in some supplies to get you started." Now, Noah needed someone to run the second cart. He thought hard about who he could trust. Then it hit him: Luis, a high school kid from his building. Luis was 16, always looking for ways to make extra money to help his younger siblings. If anyone understood hard work, it was him. That evening, Noah knocked on Luis's door. "Hey, Luis," he said, holding out his hand. "Want a job?" 2 days later, Noah's business had doubled. With Luis managing the second cart at the park while Noah covered the construction site, sales skyrocketed. At the end of the week, they had made $600 in total. Noah couldn't believe it. He had started with just $1, and now he was paying someone else to work for him. As he counted the money, he realized something else. He needed a name for his business, something that captured what he had built from nothing. Then it came to him: Noah's Hustle. It wasn't just about making money. It was about determination, hard work, and growth. With a name, a second cart, and a growing reputation, Noah knew one thing for sure: this was just the beginning. With 2 carts running and business booming, Noah knew it was time for the next step, making Noah's Hustle a real brand. He sat at the kitchen table that night, sketching out ideas for a logo in his notebook. He wanted something simple but memorable, something that would make people recognize his carts immediately. The next morning, he went to a small print shop in his neighborhood and used some of his profits to create stickers with his new logo. By the afternoon, both his and Luis's carts had Noah's Hustle stickers on them. People noticed. "Hey, you're the kid with the carts. I saw one just like this in the park." "Oh, you have a name now?" Noah's Hustle. "I love it." Customers began recognizing the brand, and Noah saw more repeat buyers than ever before. But he wasn't stopping there. He used his earnings to buy a cooler for each cart, so the drinks stayed colder longer. He also introduced a loyalty card system. For every 10 drinks a customer bought, they got 1 free. Business exploded. One afternoon, as Noah was counting the week's earnings, Luis grinned at him. "Dude, we made over $1,200 this week." Noah's jaw dropped. He had started with $1, and now he was running a small business making over $1,000 a week. But the best part? He finally had enough money to help his mom. That night, he sat at the kitchen table, waiting for her to come home from work. When she walked in, looking exhausted as usual, Noah placed an envelope full of cash in front of her. She frowned. "Noah, what's this?" He smiled. "Enough to cover the rent this month." Her eyes widened. "Noah, how did you?" "I told you, Mom. I wanted to help." Tears welled up in her eyes as she pulled him into a tight hug. "I don't even know what to say." Noah hugged her back, smiling. "Just say you believe in me." She sniffled and laughed. "I do. I really do." But Noah wasn't done yet. There was still one more person he needed to show. Noah had done everything he set out to do. He had turned $1 into a thriving business, helped his mother pay rent, and even hired his first employee. But there was one more thing left, showing Ivanka Trump what he had built. He hadn't seen her since she had offered to mentor him, but today he was ready. He arrived at Trump Tower with a folder full of notes, his sales numbers, his business plan, and photos of his carts. He wanted to prove to her that he wasn't just a kid with a lucky break. He was a real entrepreneur. When he entered her office, Ivanka stood up with a warm smile. "Noah," she said, "I've been hearing great things about you." He beamed. "I wanted to show you what I've built." He handed her the folder, and she flipped through the pages, nodding as she read. "You branded your business, expanded, hired an employee. Noah, this is impressive." He took a deep breath. "I couldn't have done it without you. If you hadn't given me that first dollar and challenged me, I wouldn't have thought this was possible." Ivanka looked at him thoughtfully. "You know, Noah, I didn't just want to see if you could grow $1. I wanted to see if you had the mindset of a true entrepreneur. And you do." Noah's heart raced. "So, what happens now?" She smiled. "Now we take Noah's hustle to the next level." His eyes widened. "You mean?" "I want to introduce you to some people. Business mentors, investors, and suppliers who can help you grow even faster. You've already done the hard part, proving yourself." Noah felt his chest tighten with excitement. This was bigger than he ever imagined. Just days ago, he had been standing outside this building, asking for $1. Now, he was sitting inside talking about building a real business empire. And he knew deep in his heart, this was just the beginning. Noah could hardly believe what he was hearing. Ivanka Trump, the woman who had given him just $1, was now offering to introduce him to real business mentors, investors, and suppliers. It wasn't just about selling snacks anymore. This was about building something that could last forever. 1 year later, the world had changed for Noah. He was no longer just a boy with a cart. He was the CEO of Noah's Hustle. 5 carts now operated across different locations in Brooklyn and Manhattan. 5 employees worked for him, all of them young people from struggling families. He had signed a deal with a local supplier, allowing him to buy drinks and snacks in bulk, increasing his profits. His business had been featured on news channels and online business blogs. But the biggest change? Noah and his mom never had to worry about rent again. One evening, as he sat on the balcony of their new, slightly bigger apartment, his mom placed a hand on his shoulder. "You've done something incredible, Noah," she said softly. "I hope you know that." Noah smiled. "I just wanted to help." She shook her head. "You've done so much more than that." And she was right. A special invitation one afternoon, Noah received a call that made his heart stop. A formal invitation from the White House. Ivanka Trump had arranged for him to speak at a business event in Washington, D.C., where young entrepreneurs were being honored. As he stepped onto the stage that day, looking out at the crowd of powerful business leaders and young dreamers, he took a deep breath. He held up a crisp $1 bill. "This," he said, "was where it all started." The room fell silent. A lot of people think you need millions to start a business, that you need fancy offices or investors. But the truth is, all you need is $1 and the right mindset. Applause filled the room. "I didn't grow because someone handed me money," Noah continued. "I grew because someone believed in me. Because I learned that money isn't just about spending, it's about creating." He smiled as he spotted Ivanka Trump in the front row, nodding with pride. "So today, I want to challenge you the same way I was challenged. Take $1 and make it grow." The audience erupted in cheers. Noah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. This wasn't just a speech. This was his legacy. And it had all started with a simple question. Can you give me $1? The end? Or just the beginning? Moral of the story. Success isn't about what you start with. It's about what you do with it. Every great achievement begins with a single step or a single dollar. The right mindset will take you further than money ever could.